Jason's wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday. I remember because I had just closed a deal that made me the majority shareholder of a company he once begged to intern for. The envelope was thick, expensive, probably picked out by Claire. Cream paper, gold foil, embossed letters, Jason and Claire cordially invite you. I didn't finish reading it. I didn't need to. The names were enough. Jason, the man who once swore he'd marry me. Claire, the woman he left me for. They were tying the knot, and apparently thought I'd care enough to sit through their performance. Maybe they assumed I'd cry in the last row, quietly, like a good little ghost from the past. But I don't cry anymore. Not for them. Instead, I laughed. And then I called Logan. "They're getting married," I said. "Then it's time," he replied. "Time for what?" "For the curtain to rise on the real show, the one where I didn't just watch. I ran it. I was never the type to make a scene. When Jason dumped me 3 years ago for a girl with a richer last name, I didn't chase after him. I didn't argue or scream or beg. I disappeared. I changed my number. I deleted everything. But I remembered. Every look of pity, every smug smile Claire gave me as she slid her hand into his. Every whisper behind my back. I remembered how Jason said, "You're amazing, Em, but she's opportunity." I remembered how I skipped dinner for days just to afford his bar exam prep classes, only to be replaced by someone who flew to class in a private jet. I remembered it all. And while they toasted champagne on rooftops, I was building something far greater underground. My company started with a single idea scribbled in a coffee-stained notebook. Logan believed in it. I worked while others partied. I saved while others posed. And by the time I resurfaced in the industry, I had something more powerful than revenge. I had ownership. Quiet, lethal, beautiful ownership. The kind that doesn't scream. It signs contracts. It buys companies. It changes names on deeds. The kind of power that walks into a room and makes people straighten their backs. The kind Jason would never see coming. So when their wedding planner's office was bought by a new silent investor, they didn't know it was me. When the boutique designing Claire's custom gown announced a change in creative direction, she just blamed Gen Z fashion nonsense. When their venue got a new owner, well, they were too busy posting couple photos to notice. I was behind all of it. Not because I wanted to ruin their wedding. I wanted to own it. Every flower, every fork, every folded napkin. They'd get married under my roof, wearing pieces I funded, eating food from my chef's kitchen. And they'd smile for the cameras, never knowing the ground they stood on was mine. That's the difference between spite and strategy. They stepped on me once. I turned into the floor they walk on. And when the time came, I'd be standing at the top of the staircase, watching them pretend to be in love, clinking glasses paid for by the girl they discarded. Claire always said she hated the taste of defeat. I couldn't wait to serve it to her. Cold, crisp, and champagne-flavored. I met Jason in college when he was just a broke law student with a charming smile and nothing to his name. I was the quiet girl from a middle-class family, always buried in books, always saying yes when I should have said no. He needed someone to help him study, someone to listen to him rant about professors and legal theories and how he'd make it big one day. That someone was me. I stayed up all night helping him prep for mock trials. I paid for his textbooks when his scholarship didn't cover them. I skipped meals to send him Uber rides when it rained. I thought I was being supportive. Looking back now, I was just being convenient. Then Claire showed up. Blonde, elegant, born with money and legacy. Her father was a judge. Her mother hosted charity galas. Jason saw her once at a campus fundraiser and his smile changed. It became sharp, hungry. I could tell from the way he started dressing differently, the way he brushed off my calls with "sorry, I'm in a meeting," even though he was still wearing the same worn-out hoodie. The day he left me wasn't even dramatic. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just said, Claire's family could help my career. You're amazing, Em. But this is what I need. That's what I was to him, a placeholder. A stepping stone to get to someone shinier. It shattered me. For weeks, I couldn't breathe without tasting metal in my mouth. I failed 2 finals. I moved out of our shared apartment with nothing but a suitcase. No goodbye note. No closure. Just the echo of his footsteps walking out. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I just disappeared. I worked 3 jobs to survive. I took night classes in business and software development. I slept 4 hours a day and spent the rest building a startup that no one believed in, except Logan. He was my first investor. We met at a co-working space when I spilled coffee on his laptop. Instead of yelling, he asked me what I was working on. And when I told him, he listened. Not with pity, but with interest. And then he wrote me a check. "This won't be the last time you surprise someone," he said. It wasn't. The startup took off faster than I imagined. While Jason was writing legal briefs for Claire's family friends, I was coding prototypes. While Claire was getting her nails done, I was pitching to investors and learning acquisition law. Every time I heard their names mentioned at some glitzy event, I smiled quietly. Because I knew something they didn't, I wasn't gone. I was growing. I watched them on social media. Saw their staged couple photos, their anniversary dinners, their luxury trips. Jason looked happy, but it was the kind of smile I knew too well, one that stretched wide but never reached the eyes. I wondered if he ever missed the girl who once memorized his coffee order, who edited his essays and bought him groceries. But I didn't let those thoughts linger. Missing him would have meant he still mattered. And he didn't. Not anymore. Not now that I had everything they thought I'd never touch. Wealth. Power. Control. All of it, earned in silence. Now, with their wedding on the horizon, it wasn't just about remembering the past. It was about rewriting it. This time, I wouldn't be the girl left behind. I'd be the woman in control. The one who walks in uninvited, yet owns the whole damn room. The engagement party was held at the Carlton Estate, a sprawling vineyard-style venue perched on a hillside just outside the city. It looked like something out of a romance movie: white stone buildings, string lights floating in the breeze, a soft jazz quartet playing under ivy-covered arches. Jason and Claire wanted a fairy tale, and they paid for it like they were royalty. What they didn't know was that the Carlton had recently changed ownership. The papers were signed 2 weeks ago under one of my shell companies. It was my name in the fine print. My signature on every vendor contract. My money funding every inch of the fantasy. I arrived late on purpose. By the time I walked through the grand entrance in a sleek black dress and heels that clicked like a countdown, the party was already in full swing. Laughter. Champagne. People pretending to be more important than they were. I scanned the room, and there he was. Jason. Older, more polished than I remembered, but the same calculating gaze. And beside him, Claire. Perfect hair, perfect teeth, perfect smug little smirk. She hadn't changed at all. Emily? A voice called out, half in disbelief, half in recognition. Jason. He stepped forward, blinking like he was trying to confirm I was real. Wow, it's been ages. I smiled like it didn't hurt. 3 years. You look different. Success tends to do that, I said coolly. Claire approached, her eyes flicking over me. And you are? Emily. Jason's old study partner. Jason cleared his throat. More than that, actually. We dated. Claire's eyes narrowed. Right. That Emily. She didn't offer her hand. I didn't expect her to. I didn't know you were invited, she added. I wasn't, I said. But I thought I'd stop by. I heard the place was under new management. I let the words hang in the air, watching Jason's brow furrow. Logan appeared at my side, dressed in a sharp navy suit. He handed me a glass of champagne like it was choreographed. Right on time, he murmured. They have no clue, I whispered back. They will. We wandered through the party like guests, but I noticed the details they didn't. The servers wore uniforms I'd redesigned last week. The wine was from my private label. The chandeliers were installed 2 days ago, custom ordered by me. Claire gushed about how she wanted to buy the Carlton someday. It just has this old money charm, she said. I raised an eyebrow. You should talk to the new owner. I hear she's very hands-on. Jason glanced at me, and for a second, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Doubt. Maybe even fear. But then Claire dragged him away to pose for photos, and the moment passed. I wandered outside to the garden, needing air. Logan followed. You're playing with fire, he said. You worried I'll burn? No, he replied. I'm worried you'll hesitate when it's time to strike. I met his gaze. I'm not here to ruin their night. I'm here to remind them I exist. He nodded slowly. Then let's make sure they remember it. From the balcony, I watched Jason and Claire toast to their forever. I raised my glass in silence, thinking about how forever can crumble when built on the wrong foundation. And theirs was built on me. The next morning, Claire's assistant called my office. She wanted to schedule a private consultation with the new lead designer at the boutique where Claire was getting her wedding dress. That boutique? I owned it now. The lead designer? She worked under my creative direction. I agreed to the meeting. Of course I did. Claire had no idea she was walking into a trap, one stitched with satin and strategy. She arrived 30 minutes late, sunglasses on, phone glued to her hand. I need something timeless but jaw-dropping, she said without looking up. Everyone will be watching. The dress needs to scream elegance and money. I studied her as she flipped through fabric swatches, completely unaware that the woman she'd once mocked was standing 3 feet away, holding the scissors. You're Claire, right? I said softly. She finally looked up, frowning. Yes? I'm Emily. I'll be overseeing your dress design. Her face didn't register recognition at first. But then her lips parted slightly, and I saw it, the flicker of memory. The poor ex-girlfriend. The girl she used to laugh about behind closed doors. Oh, she said slowly. You work here? Something like that, I replied with a pleasant smile. Let's get started. I didn't sabotage the dress. I designed the most stunning thing she'd ever wear. That was the point. I wanted her to look perfect. Because when everything unraveled, I wanted her to know exactly what she lost. Meanwhile, Jason started popping up more frequently. At networking events, charity dinners, even a tech panel Logan and I were invited to. Total coincidence, he'd say with a crooked smile. He was trying to play innocent, but I saw through it. He remembered. And worse, he was intrigued. I didn't expect you to bounce back like this, he said one night after a gala. You've changed. So have you, I said. You used to have ambition. He laughed, awkward and forced. Claire's world is different. Everything's already done. No fight left to win. I tilted my head. And you miss the fight? He didn't answer. I already knew. He missed the girl who challenged him, not the one who handed him everything. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I wasn't anyone's stepping stone. And while Jason's attention lingered like smoke, I noticed Logan watching from across the room, jaw tight. That night, he cornered me in the elevator. He's baiting you, he said. Let him. I've got bigger plans. You're already under his skin, Em. Just don't let him under yours. I stayed silent, because part of me wanted Jason to look. To regret. But that part was dangerous. That part could ruin everything. Over the next few weeks, I kept moving. I quietly bought the florist company for their wedding. Acquired the caterer. Bought out the honeymoon villa's booking site and cancelled their reservation. Every move legal. Every move silent. Every piece of their future now sat in my palm. Jason started messaging me. Small talk at first. Then questions. Then compliments. "You're the one that got away," he wrote one night. I stared at the screen, fingers hovering. Logan's voice echoed in my mind. "Don't let him under your skin." So I typed one word back. "Good." Then I closed the laptop and poured myself a drink. The dress fittings. The menu tastings. The venue walkthroughs. Claire had no idea I was everywhere, shaping every decision, tilting every domino. Jason suspected something, but he didn't dare confirm it. Cowards rarely do. Soon, it wouldn't matter. Because when the wedding finally arrived, it wouldn't be theirs. It would be mine. My masterpiece. My stage. My closure. 3 weeks before the wedding, Claire had her final dress fitting. She twirled in front of the mirror, admiring herself while 3 assistants fluffed the hem. "It's perfect," she said breathlessly. "You're a genius." I nodded, adjusting a pin near the waist. "We aim to please." Jason waited outside the fitting room. When he saw me, he stood up too fast. "Can we talk?" he asked. I tilted my head. "We just did yesterday." "No, I mean, alone." Claire's voice rang out behind us. "Jason, let her work. She has other clients." He flinched. I didn't smile, but I wanted to. That edge in her tone, it hadn't been there before. Cracks forming. Good. After they left, Logan met me in the studio. He tossed a folder onto my desk. "Their photographer? You now own her agency." I flipped through the contracts, nodding. "Perfect. Their planner is next. She'll accept the buyout by Friday." "Then it's done," I said. "Every piece. Controlled." Logan looked at me, quiet for a beat. "Does it feel good?" "Better than I thought," I admitted. "But not enough yet." "What would be enough?" I looked him in the eye. Watching them realize I was the one with all the power, all along. Later that week, Jason showed up at my office unannounced. No appointment. Just a desperate sort of energy I hadn't seen in him before. "This is about us, isn't it?" he said, pacing. "You're doing all of this because of what happened." I leaned back in my chair. "All of what, Jason?" "The venue. The dress. Everything. I know you're behind it." So? "So, what do you want?" I smiled slowly. "Want? You assume I still want something from you." He looked rattled. "Don't you?" "I wanted you to look me in the eye and realize you bet on the wrong woman." "That's it. Claire thinks you're trying to sabotage us." "If I wanted to sabotage you, you'd be bankrupt by now." He laughed nervously. "You know, I used to dream of seeing you again. Telling you I made a mistake. And yet you waited until the week of your wedding." He stepped closer. "You haven't changed. You're still the same brilliant, ruthless girl who." I cut him off. "I have changed, Jason. You just didn't keep up." Then I walked out. Because I'd given him enough. Enough space. Enough kindness. Enough warnings. He didn't deserve more. That night, I had dinner with Logan. We sat in my rooftop garden overlooking the city, a bottle of wine between us. "You looked calm today," he said. "You didn't even flinch." "Because I'm done flinching," I said. "He's still chasing what he threw away. That's not my problem anymore." Logan leaned forward. "And what do you want now?" "To watch it all fall apart," I said softly. "But I don't want to break them." I want them to break themselves under the weight of everything they thought they owned. He reached across the table, his hand brushing mine. You've already won, Emily. I looked at him then, really looked. The man who saw me when I was broken. Who invested not in what I was, but what I could be. Who stood by me while I burned down the past. I realized I didn't just want revenge. I wanted freedom. And maybe, something more. But first, the wedding. The perfect stage. The perfect trap. And the perfect ending to the story they started without asking how I'd finish it. The week before the wedding, Jason sent me another message. This time it wasn't polite. It wasn't clever. It was desperate. I need to see you. Please. I didn't respond. But I made sure to be at the Carlton estate the next afternoon. I was reviewing final preparations with the staff when I heard his voice behind me. You're everywhere. I can't breathe without bumping into you. I turned slowly. He looked tired, unshaven, on edge. Then maybe stop showing up where you're not wanted. He stepped closer. You're doing this to punish me. No, Jason. I'm doing this to remind you that you don't matter anymore. That's a lie, he said. You wouldn't be here if I didn't matter. I'm here because I own this place. I leaned in. You're a tenant in the fantasy I built. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he kissed me. Just like that. Like it was still his right. Like I'd been waiting for it. I didn't pull away, not immediately. I let him think he had me. I let him believe the lie for 5 delicious seconds. And then I laughed. I stepped back and wiped my mouth. Still weak to power, aren't you? I said. Even if it destroys you. He looked stunned. Embarrassed. A flash of anger crossed his face, but he didn't deny it. He couldn't. I walked away, heels clicking through the marble hallway. Claire saw us from the staircase. Her expression twisted. Later that night, she called the venue, screaming at the staff, threatening to cancel. But every line she barked led back to me. Her anger had no traction. She was a guest at her own wedding. 2 days later, Claire showed up at my office. No appointment. No assistant. Just her and a pair of designer sunglasses she didn't bother to remove. You think this is funny? She snapped. What exactly? This little game. You flirting with my fiancé, showing up everywhere. You're not going to win. I smiled. Claire, I already did. He'll never love you again. That's the part you don't get, I said, standing. I don't want his love. I want him to live with the regret of losing mine. She flinched. And I saw it then, the panic. The cracks in her perfect world. She didn't love Jason. She loved the power of having what someone else wanted. And now, even that illusion was slipping. I didn't push her further. I didn't have to. Jason was already unraveling. She was starting to see it. Their perfect wedding was being held together by gold threads sewn by my hands. And I was about to pull every one of them loose. That night, Logan met me at my place. He said nothing as I opened the door. Just stepped in and wrapped his arms around me. I melted into him. No words, just heat. Honesty. I kissed him like I was claiming something real for the first time. No lies. No games. Just us. You could end this now, he whispered between breaths. Let it go. Not yet, I said. One more move. Then I'm with you. To the end. The night passed in a tangle of skin and secrets. And when the sun rose, I knew exactly what I had to do. The final move wasn't destruction. It was revelation. Let the truth walk in like a guest no one invited. Let the whole world see who really held the crown. The morning of the wedding arrived bright and cloudless, as if the universe itself had come. Guests poured into the Carlton estate, dazzled by the venue's elegance, the floral arrangements, the media drones circling above. Jason stood at the altar in a suit tailored with trembling hands. Claire walked down the aisle in a gown I designed, her face stretched into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She looked beautiful. And terrified. The ceremony began, all according to schedule. I stood at the back, just outside of the camera's frames, watching as the officiant spoke empty words. Jason glanced over his shoulder more than once. Claire never looked away from him. Like she was trying to keep him from running. They said their vows. Claire's voice cracked. Jason hesitated before repeating his. And then, right before the final declaration, someone stepped forward. A reporter. Microphone in hand. "Sorry to interrupt," she said loudly, "but we've just received breaking news regarding the ownership of this venue, the dress, and nearly every vendor involved in this wedding." Gasps. The officiant froze. Claire turned pale. Jason turned red. I stepped forward, heels soft against the stone, my expression calm. "That would be me," I said. Cameras turned. Guests murmured. "You see," I continued, "this fairy tale wedding you've all been admiring? It was funded, styled, and owned by the woman they both tried to erase." Jason tried to speak. Claire hissed his name, eyes wide. But the reporter cut them off. "Emily, is it true you are the primary investor behind this event?" "Not just the event," I said. "The venue, the dress label, the catering firm, the photography agency. Even the media outlet you're filming for. I own it all." Silence. Thick and delicious. "Why now?" the reporter asked. "Because they thought I was gone. Forgotten. Replaced. And I wanted them to see that I didn't just survive, I built the ground they're standing on." Claire tried to recover. "This is insane. She's trying to sabotage us." I smiled. "If I wanted to sabotage you, Claire, you wouldn't be wearing that dress. You'd be wearing regret." Jason finally stepped forward. "Emily, please. Can we just talk?" "No," I said. "You had your chance. Years ago. Now I'm just here to collect the ending I wrote myself." I turned to the guests. "Enjoy the food. Enjoy the view. After all, it's all mine." And with that, I walked away. The reporter followed. So did Logan. The guests stayed, unsure what to do. Claire ran after Jason, whispering furiously. I didn't stay to watch what happened next. I didn't need to. The moment was done. The story complete. Logan met me in the parking lot. "You sure you're ready to leave it behind?" "It's already behind me," I said. This was never about them. Then what was it about? I looked up at him. Me. Choosing myself. Writing the ending they thought I'd never get. He took my hand. "Then let's go write the next chapter." And this time I wouldn't be a footnote. I'd be the headline. 2 days after the wedding collapsed, headlines exploded. The real power behind the vows, Emily's empire exposed. Bride wore a dress owned by the ex-girlfriend her fiancé betrayed. From heartbroken to ruthless, how Emily took back control. I didn't give interviews. I didn't need to. The photos spoke for themselves. Me in that black dress, standing at the altar's edge like a queen overlooking her conquered kingdom. Claire's family tried to control the narrative, but no one was listening to them anymore. Jason was reportedly on a break, hiding from cameras and questions. Claire went silent online, her last post a blurry photo of the back of Jason's head with the caption, "Forever?" Even her followers knew it was a question now. Meanwhile, my company's value tripled. Clients flooded in. Offers poured through every inbox. But I ignored most of them. I only answered one message. From Logan. "Dinner. Your place. Tonight." I didn't reply. I just cleaned my apartment, lit candles, and waited. He showed up with a bottle of wine and a look that said he knew. Knew it was over. Knew I'd won. Knew I needed something more now. Not victory. Peace. He poured us drinks and sat beside me on the couch. No words. Just silence and warmth, and the kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty. So, he finally said, "What does the Queen of Broken Weddings do next?" I laughed. A real laugh. Not sharp, not bitter. I start over. Clean slate. You don't want to stay in the spotlight? No, I said. I want to build something that doesn't have their names tangled in it. Something that's mine. Not born from revenge, but from vision. He nodded. I'd invest. I looked at him. You already did. I leaned in and kissed him, not out of gratitude or drama or closure, but because I wanted to. Because he never tried to own me. He never tried to fix me. He just stood by me, steady and patient, while I became who I was always meant to be. The next morning, Claire showed up at my office with a check. Blank. Just take it, she said. Whatever you want. Just leave us alone. I handed it back. Claire, this was never about taking something from you. It was about proving I never needed what you stole. Then what now? She asked. You just disappear? No, I said, standing. I just stopped playing games with people who think I'm still the same girl they met 3 years ago. She looked down. Defeated. Human, for once. I let her walk out without another word. Because I didn't hate her. I just outgrew the part of me that wanted her to break. That chapter was done. And the next one? It wouldn't be about them at all. Months passed. The world moved on, but the story lingered like perfume in a ballroom long after the music stopped. Every time someone whispered about Jason or Claire, my name was the next breath. Not because I screamed for attention, but because I earned it. I didn't post about it. I didn't brag. I just built. Quietly, consistently. The new venture Logan and I started together grew faster than we imagined. A tech and fashion hybrid brand, his algorithms, my aesthetic. Investors tried to slap their names on it. We refused. It was ours. Authentically. Powerfully. Entirely. One evening, I stood on the balcony of my new penthouse, a property I'd bought from Jason's former boss, who went bankrupt last quarter. Funny how things circle back. The view was breathtaking. Not because of the skyline. But because I'd earned every square inch. Every tile, every light switch, every window facing the city that once chewed me up and spit me out. Now it bowed to me. Logan came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and rested his chin on my shoulder. They announced it, he said. The foreclosure. Which one? Jason's condo. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. And Claire? Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents. Word is they'd pulled her inheritance until she matures. I nodded. Fitting. He turned me around, held my face in his hands. You don't have to carry this anymore. I'm not, I said. Not like before. It's not a weight. It's just a story I finally finished. So what now? I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Not a ring. A key. I pressed it into his palm. You're not just my partner in business, Logan. You're my home. His eyes widened slightly, then softened. You really want me to move in? I want you to stay, I said. For real. No contracts. No strategies. Just us. He kissed me. Deep and warm and certain. And in that kiss, I tasted something I hadn't in years. Not revenge. Not triumph. Peace. Real, undiluted peace. I once believed love had to be earned through pain. Through sacrifice. Through proving I was enough. But the truth was simpler. I had always been enough. They just weren't ready to see it. So I stopped asking them to. I became my own proof. My own empire. And the next chapter? It wouldn't be about destruction. It would be about building. Loving. Living. This time, not to prove a point, just because I can.